So, moving right along, what we have in this room right now is search engine marketing. And what we have in that room is that will start in about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll have customer loyalty and retention. So you decide where you need to go. Now, for the sorry, did someone want me to repeat that? Yeah, okay. So here we have search engine marketing, and over there, customer loyalty and retention. And of course, we'd like to just give a big thank you to IBM, who has powered this session for us. The SEM session looks at the importance of search engine marketing for e-commerce. The panel will analyze the various tools and techniques in SEM which can be used to boost the business and sales, besides creating brand loyalty and customer retention. So we have our panelists. As I call their names, I'd request them to please make their way up. We have Ansu Gupta from Pinstorm, Sandeep Srivastava from Microsoft. I have Kunal Soni from Google down here. I'm not sure if he's here or not. Is he? Yeah, oh, great. Thank you. I just had some question marks because we weren't sure. And I believe it's being moderated by Rahul Sethi from Lady Blush. So please give your panelists and your moderator a big round of applause as a welcome. So Rahul, over to you then.
Hello. So, very good afternoon to all of you here. Am I audible? Okay. So we've got. So it's a rare sight. You know, we have. On the same panel, on the same stage, we've got Microsoft and Google search team from the senior execs. So I think it actually commands an applause. So let's have an applause for both of them here. Basically, how we are trying to structure this is, so I have noted down some questions which I'm going to put in to the panelists and try and get some answers, to them. We'll try and keep it short, and we would, ideally want more customer engagement, right? Since the previous session was on Facebook, so we would want to drive community action in this and try and see more customer engagement and probably put in more time for the questions in the end. So if you look at, I think if you look at search over the last, I would say, decade and more since the time e-commerce exists in this country, search has, played a very classic and a very critical role, in terms of building online shopping, as an initiative, as a, as a proposition per se. Just imagine online shopping without search. It would have been so very difficult to basically discover new websites, right? So I think it has played a very critical role in terms of trying to define, e-commerce and online shopping, as one of the very key pegs. And it clearly differentiates and plays a very important role in the online ecosystem, for the online shopping per se. So what we can probably do is have views from the panelists. We can start from Anshu. She's been managing search for good 7-8 years, I believe. So maybe we can start with her, understand her perspective in terms of how search has changed, how trends have evolved over the last maybe 10 years, in the search perspective. And then we can also, get to hear from the biggies, the Microsoft and the Google, to understand their perspective on this.
So, like Rahul mentioned, around 7-8 years back, when Pinstorm started helping advertisers in their digital marketing strategies and trying to connect with their consumers on digital platforms, the biggest platform that was emerging that time was Google. And the search at that point of time versus the search engine marketing today are two very different animals. At that point of time, the big advertisers and small advertisers, both of them were trying to get onto the platform and the field was pretty much equal. Today, if there is any new e-commerce site or any new website or anybody who's trying to get onto search for the first time, anybody would know that it's an extremely difficult battle to fight and it's an uphill task. At that point of time, it was easy for us to go to any small advertiser and help them connect with their audience who was searching for something, and you know how it is. I mean, somebody searching is actually an intention that they're telling you that what are they looking for and where can you take them. But today, even if the search terms and discoverability, as Rahul will talk about later, is expanding, it's becoming more and more tough for the new players to just get onto that bandwagon and now try and fight these very big advertisers who not only have very big budgets but also now have a search history or their performance history which they have built over time with Google and the other search engines. So it's extremely challenging, and how Pinstomp now tries to tackle is that obviously, just like you heard in the last session, you can't overly depend on Facebook for your social media. Similarly, you cannot overly depend on just search to find your customers. You need to have a more holistic approach. You need to have a more holistic approach towards search as well. So maybe it's time to see that if there's something beyond Google, or if there's something beyond the obvious keywords, or if there's something beyond the obvious strategies that have been used by advertisers for search engine marketing, and I'm sure the panel would talk about that later as well. As we move forward, the panel would also come to things like what are the kind of budgets that a new advertiser could work for, and what are the new strategies that advertisers could work for. Just for my understanding, how many of you here are managing search campaigns for your own websites? All right, cool. Okay, so maybe you can take it.
So I'm Sandeep. I'm from Microsoft. Because we didn't do introductions. Both of people will be confusing who is from Microsoft and who from Google. So to take that question, I would actually say we should look at two parts. Right? I mean, how is search evolving from a consumer perspective, and how is search marketing evolving? So if we look at the evolution of search, it also depends on lifestyle of what kind of users are actually coming online. So if you look at when somebody comes online, they really use search as a navigation tool to the internet. So I need to go to a particular website, so let me type that on a search. Or something which is pretty obvious that they think they could find. What we are seeing now is the evolution of the search consumer per se. So the consumer is really evolving to search for more and more things. They're becoming aware of what are the various things that they can do using search. So that is very important to understand, because as we look at the evolution of consumer and what things they are looking to do using search, that opens up opportunities to connect with that kind of evolving consumer in a way. And also on the discovery side, if we actually look at it, search is no longer the only way people are discovering new sites or brands. It's really happening through social and various other ways as well. So from that perspective, it is now we are dealing with a pretty evolved consumer as well in India. And as we have more and more people coming on, we'll have a much more evolved consumer who will do a lot of balanced searches. So that's where we see search moving, where evolution in terms of how sophisticated the user is, and really coming together of social content, all of it in one format, which helps user to discover content and really get things done in a meaningful way. On the search marketing side, it has become more complicated as we actually look at now. I mean, it was good old days when there were few advertisers online. You could bid and say, hey, I can just do few landing page changes and I can go up in position 1, 2, or 3. But now you really need to look at what do I want to do out of my search campaign. I think that clarity is very, very important. And also understanding all the various tools which are available at this stage to get to that objective. It has got very, very sophisticated in terms of tools and technologies which are available at everybody's disposal right now. So proper targeting is possible. Having a very good understanding of what ROI is, how much share of voice do I have, So there are a lot of tools which are now available to optimize, and that particular trend is going to continue, where we would see in search marketing really 2 or 3 broad types of advertisers coming in. One set of advertiser is somebody who is very new to search, wants something where they don't need to be bothered with all sorts of tools and technologies, something very simple for them to start using search. And on the other extreme, we would have advertisers who are very sophisticated, would use APIs, develop tools, work with a lot of agencies to really optimize and take advantage. So we'll see that evolution happening in search marketing, where we would have more technology coming in to assist everybody.
Thanks. Hi everyone, I'm Kunal from Google, and I focus on new products and solutions, taking some of those to the market as far as the advertisers are concerned. So look, as far as search is concerned, clearly there have been changes. As a platform, it's evolved over time, both from the point of view of users as well as from the point of view of advertisers. What hasn't changed, in my view, is the power and magic of search in terms of connecting people who are looking for a product or a piece of information with somebody who's providing that product or that piece of information. So I think that power and magic of search remains unchanged. What has changed is that as more and more people find value, right, both users as well as advertisers, clearly the number of players in the ecosystem have increased, and that has fundamental implications for both. Let's talk about users right now. So what we've noticed in Google is something what we call as the research online, purchase offline, or the ROPO effect, right? Wherein what we're seeing is that people are increasingly searching, right, for various kinds of keywords. And to share a statistic with you, guess how many new queries we get every day, as in queries which have never been there earlier, new queries. Take a wild guess. So in terms of percentage of queries, well, between 5 and 10% queries are actually new. These are queries which have never appeared before, right? So the fact is that the long tail is really getting longer, right? And people are expressing their desire, their information seeking behavior, all that through these queries. So that's very interesting. And obviously there are category level differences. So for a consumer durables organization or a financial services company, clearly the ROPO phenomenon, the research online purchase offline phenomenon, is fairly large. Maybe not so for other categories, but broadly that's the way we are headed. Let's look at what's happening from the advertiser standpoint, right? So clearly it's becoming more complicated. I completely agree with that. It's a platform which has become complicated because there are so many more players. The level of automation has gone up. To manage a simple campaign, there are thousands and thousands of keywords, thousands and thousands of targeting options, etc., etc. So the list is endless. And that has fundamental implications, again, for how effectively it needs to be managed in order to actually get returns from search. So here, again, our view here is really threefold, and probably I'll cover that in detail later on. But broadly, there are 3 things which I think which are going to be really, really important for advertisers going forward. Number 1 would be the concept of attribution, which is gaining prominence, right? So a lot of advertisers, just to sort of demystify that a bit, a lot of advertisers still attribute the last click to a conversion, which means a user searched, and when the last click before they actually made a purchase is the one that I value, right? Because that's the click which led to the purchase. But now what we're noticing is that about 52% consumers actually have a multi-click approach in their entire sales funnel before actually buying. So attribution modeling and the ability to actually look at the entire sales funnel beyond the last click is going to be very, very important going forward. The other big change is really around automation. So as I said, the complexity in terms of keywords, queries, etc., is going multiple bids, multiple keywords. There's a strong need for better automation, which will allow you or the system to actually make very smart decisions on your behalf as far as the amount that you want to bid, your budgets, managing your budgets, optimizing your campaigns, all that. So a lot of those automation-related tools are important. Right? And finally, I think what gets missed a lot of times is the whole conversion piece from a website perspective. So a lot of emphasis goes on to keywords and bids, etc., etc., possibly not as much on what's happening on the website once a user lands up. So the quality of the experience that a user has will have a fundamentally strong impact on their propensity to actually convert. And that is going to be something which is going to be becoming increasingly important going forward. So that's actually, and frankly, with so many players proliferating in the online retail space, and consumers being increasingly price sensitive, the quality of the experience that you offer them on your website is going to be a very, very critical component. So in a nutshell, better attribution, automation, and conversion on your website are going to be the three levers for success. Yeah, that's it for me.
Okay. So what we've observed, for search engine marketing, so I've been using, search engines to market my websites for the last 10 years. And, what we've observed, over the last decade is that we've seen the conversion softening. The conversion has been going down. Although, we talk about market getting matured and now there are many more users, the buyer ecosystem is developing. But the conversion has been softening over the years and the cost going up, right? CPC has been going up. So what do you attribute? So I'm sure a lot of search engine marketers here would corroborate to that fact, even, Anshu would. So what is your view, Kunal, on this? What do you basically attribute the entire, because ultimately, an advertiser who's coming to search engine is looking for performance, right? I feel very few people, would use search engine today to build brands, right? Most of them would want to drive transactions, right? And the biggest, I won't call it a plague, but biggest, obstacle today in the entire e-commerce where the companies are experiencing is the cost of acquisition. And search has been and still is, right, most prominent channel of acquisition for the online shopping companies. So how do you attribute that? And is there something which Google, and for that matter even Microsoft, is working towards to try and see how you can diffuse that? Is it to do with the concentration of users or key accounts who are just going out crazily bidding on products or bidding on keywords? Or is it something to do with the ecosystem of shopping, which is over to you?
I would say the CPCs and the cost per acquisition is actually skyrocketed even for very big advertisers. So it's not just the new and the small advertisers for whom the CPA is very high. Even some very, very big players in the e-commerce space are struggling to keep their cost per acquisitions within a certain threshold, and that threshold is different for every advertiser, every product, every sector. But this is a very real question, and it's a question which can change your business plan completely, especially if you are a new e-commerce site, and if you're overly relying on search, because the relevance of somebody looking for a product and coming and converting on search is the most direct, and it is used as a performance medium. So I think the CPA question is really something that would be of interest to everybody.
Okay. So I think valid concern. It's clearly so the CP. Let's look at it from two points of view. One is really the external input, right? So the cost per acquisition or the cost per click that you end up paying is a factor of the competition, right, for that particular keyword. So clearly, CPCs will vary significantly across categories, across keyword types, and also based on the value that an advertiser attaches to that particular keyword. Just to give you an example, an online fashion retailer would clearly value the keyword, I don't know, latest fashion trends more highly than a regular e-commerce player. The fact is that you assign a value to that particular query because you think that's related to what you have to offer, and therefore you bid more aggressively on those. Having said that, the fact is, as more and more players come into the market, as more and more players see value in search as a platform, the CPC auction pressure is something which you really can't predict. But assuming that there are more players in the market, auction pressure remains high. Having said that, Google, I'm going to spend just a minute on the algorithm here. While the CPC clearly is important, the fact is that the algorithm that we operate is is designed to ensure that advertisers do not just get higher placements by paying high or bidding high, right? Because ultimately for Google, what's the most important thing really is not the advertiser, it's the user. The user needs to find a particular result useful, because that's really what keeps them coming back. So if the ad of the advertiser is not relevant, is not useful, it gets something called as a low quality score, right? If you have a low quality score, you may be bidding very highly, but your ads will not appear, right? And people who run search campaigns will know how that works. So the point is that, yeah, we're trying to control that through the algorithm, which rewards better creatives and more relevant creatives. And clearly, what you can do as an advertiser is a number of things. One is, of course, run campaigns which are very, very tightly themed to ensure that campaigns, keywords, bids are very, very tightly related to what you have to offer rather than spreading yourself too thin. Also, I spoke about automation in the, just some time back, right? So there are tools which are available right now, and not everybody is aware of those tools, which allow you to optimize down to a certain level that you have in mind. So for instance, if you have a CPA target or a cost per click target of 10 rupees, you can actually set that in, and the system will automatically manage those bids for you to ensure that over time you're heading towards that goal, rather than having to manage it manually yourself. So there are tools like those which are available, which Google is working on to ensure that advertisers are in control and they can manage their budgets and bids accordingly, right? But CPAs will be a function of the industry, the competition, all those things coming in together. So there are sort of two forces at play here, and we just need to sort of it's a function of the industry, right?
There's just one thing I would like to add is it's very important to understand that you won't get it right the first time, right? Especially if you are starting off. So it's very important to experiment. You really need to experiment and find out what works for you. So there would be cases where you would have heard from somebody that, look, I tried this, it worked for me fantastically. That may just not work for you, right? So you are pretty unique. That's what you have to understand. You need to experiment. So what are the levers on which you could experiment? So one is keyword selection, or just focused on what is the target segment that I'm going after. So I want to make sure that I go after only this demo segment. So experiment around that. See what works. Sometimes moving budget across networks works. So if you have been putting all the money on Google, take some money, put on the Bing network. Right? See what the ROI is. It may be completely different. Right? So just try, experiment with what works for you, and the results will be good. Sorry, the cheap trick.
Hello. You want to add something, Anshul?
Well, yeah, I mean, though it might just seem obvious what he just said, but yeah, even as the digital marketing strategy advisors to a lot of our clients, see, what you must have basically heard from here is that the CPAs are not going to come down, and the CPAs are not going to come down, and there are going to be more advertisers, so the auction pressure is going to go up. So the idea is that at any point of time, especially if you're working with a limited budget and within tight budgets, it is extremely important that you keep doing these small experiments. See, the good thing is also that when you move your monies from a very high traction area to a lower traction area, your costs and hence your risks also kind of come down a little bit. So, you can experiment on Bing with very limited money as compared to Google, for example, right? So it is very important. And not just that, I would say if there are any other opportunities of searches. Now, what you must have noticed is that people are actually, even if they know your brand names, they would just go to a search bar and put your URL right there. Right? So it is not just a matter of people looking for generic products or some category or something like that. It's just a reality that we all have to live with. So experimenting is definitely the key, but just always keep in mind on what's the kind of money that you're burning and what's the kind of CPAs that you're actually managing to get on a daily basis, on a regular basis.
Yeah, just an observation which I would like to add more from the advertiser's perspective. So what I've seen now, Google is from a search engine, right? It is now becoming more like a shopping comparison, at least for an e-commerce website. Where I search for a particular product, I get 6 or 7 or 8 players, all aligned together on the right-hand side. And that is actually one big concern I don't know how, if there is there's a workaround to that. Because ultimately, if I'm going to search engine, I'm clearly looking at search engine as an option to economize, my CPAs, where I'm compromising on the display bit and looking at text and also looking at a user who's actually in a need of a particular product, who's come down to search for that particular product. So it is moving more on a shopping comparison side, right? That is one. And what that has done is, again, without naming any companies, is that, for very generic keywords like online shopping or, women fashion or, lingerie, what I get to see is advertisers who are putting in, their ads are also putting in vouchers there itself in the ad. So they're getting a double whammy, right? On one side, they're paying a cost per click. Second side, they're also advertising, putting a voucher code there itself to convert that user, right? So how is voucherization? I would say, this coupon phenomena which has emerged where, a lot of companies are looking at couponing as one of the very cost-effective way of acquiring users, has, somehow disturbed the ecosystem or in a way, trying to change the balance in the ecosystem.
I must add in that shopping comparison point that Rahul just brought up. Sometimes if you're looking for a certain specific product, let's say a certain model of a phone or what you already know that you are looking for buying, buy diapers or buy a certain book or whatever, and suddenly in all the ads, you will probably come across the sites that you didn't even know was selling those products. So, this whole brand building exercise of, let's say, a baby oil or a first cry or whomsoever, those ones are the obvious ones and you probably expect to see them over there, right? And go to your product page from the search engine. But suddenly you will come across some few websites, the names of which you haven't heard, and just like Rahul said, maybe they are now trying to advertise on price or they are advertising with coupon. And as a buyer, I mean, you don't care as much as the pricing or the thing goes that if you're buying from Baby Oil or if you're buying from some new website. I mean, it's a standard product. As long as you can be assured of delivery, you would go for it, right? That's the concern.
So look, I'm going to break that down into two parts. One is the part about shopping comparison sites, and the other part is really about vouchers or coupons like you've mentioned. As far as the first point goes, really, I mean, the fact is there are only those 11 ad spots on a Google search page, right? People who work on search will know that. You cannot have more than 11 ads on a particular search page. Now, if a particular query is of value to multiple advertisers, clearly they're free to bid for them, right? I understand that it creates clutter for a particular advertiser, but the fact is that it is a query which a user has initiated, and that query is perceived as valuable by more than 3 or 4 advertisers, and therefore they are bidding against it or bidding on it. Look at it from the point of view of the user. It's fantastic information, right? And like I said earlier, the primary objective Google has to make the experience for the user more relevant and as useful as possible. So I, as a user, am typing in for a cheap mobile phone, and I'm getting these fantastic 10 options. Great. As a user, I'm happy, right? So unfortunately there, yes, I know that it creates clutter for advertisers, but the point is, because of the fact that those users are there, they're finding relevant information, they're coming back, you guys are opting for those keywords to bid on. So it's a platform, but because there is competition, clearly there will be some amount of clutter. And that it's a fact of life, it's a fact of the market, that we're going to have some clutter wherever we go. But the fact is we control that. We control that through the number of ads which are shown, and we control that through the relevance of the ads which are shown, right? Which like I explained earlier, was through the quality score. So that's one. As far as coupons and vouchers are concerned, I think that's not really a call which we as Google can take. I mean, ultimately, what we're saying is this is our platform, right? You have the tools to create relevant ads, which you think should be relevant for you and should be driving traffic to your business. You as a business decide how much value you want to assign to that particular ad or to that click or connection. Clearly, as a business person, I would think that long-term vouchers or coupons, for them to be sustainable, they have to be of a certain value, which clearly offsets the profit, which clearly offsets the amount that you sort of spend in getting them on. So that's more of a long-term view. But what you put in and the coupons you put in, they're valuable to consumers. They get people to your traffic, to your website. How much of that voucher, what should be the value of that voucher, is something which is more of a business call rather than a Google call. And but there is no direction or no guidance from Google or from any search engine for that matter to sort of nudge the market in that direction. Yeah. 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 Absolutely.
One way to look at it is that is it going to be sustainable in the long run, right? So right now, let's say there are 11 spots, and there are, let's say, these 11 companies who have very deep pockets, who say that, look, I'm willing to spend as much as it takes to be amongst these 11. Right? If you are not amongst those 11, it's not just money. There are other things about quality score and all of that, but let's keep it simplistically at money. If you're not amongst those 11, and there are 11 other players who want to take online shopping, then tough luck, right? If they are actually...
But how, again, from the sustainability point of view,
Correct.
wouldn't a Google or a Microsoft be worried if 85% of your revenues come from top 11 guys, right? Would you not look at, a seller or a advertiser concentration there, where you would also want to build a long tail of advertisers so that it's more stable,
Okay.
right? Tomorrow one guy goes out of business, right? He's earned all his money. Unfortunately, he's out of business, and your, margins, your revenues,
Okay.
tanked by 12% or 15%. So is there any kind of a safeguard which is being built, or is there, some kind of a structure which Google is working on or has in place in certain part of the world, maybe not in India, where you also try and give SMEs or smaller businesses or new entrants equal opportunity to compete, right? Not just on price, but they need an equal platform to compete.
So, see, AdWords, which is the bidding platform which people use to bid on Google, is from that point of view a very democratic platform, right? We spoke about the bid, of course. The bid will have value, and the quality score will have value. Now, how can a new entrant make an impact? A new entrant can make an impact by choosing a very, very tightly themed campaign with the most relevant keywords, right? And not spread yourself very thinly across keywords. The point is, those are some clear best practices for a new entrant. The primary objective for a new entrant should be to build a good quality score, to build some good history for your campaigns so that you are rewarded later on with lower CPAs, lower CPCs, and better quality traffic. And all that will really come from the right selection of keywords, the right targeting opportunity, right? That's one. As far as SMEs at scale are concerned, it's a very important segment for us, for Google. Right? There are a number of things that we've done in India as well. I don't know how many of you know of the India Get Your Business Online initiative, or the GIBO initiative that we launched last year. The idea was to actually get 1 million websites, 1 million small and medium enterprises to create websites, free websites, by the way, right? These are all free websites. You go onto the GXGIBO website and actually create a website for yourself. So a great way to really fire up the ecosystem for small and medium enterprises. Secondly, I don't know if you guys heard of the Chandni Chowk Get Your Business Online initiative, right? So Kapil Sibal actually launched it for us a few weeks back in Delhi, wherein all these small retailers, businesses in a very, very trader-led community of Chandni Chowk were actually addressed, and they encouraged to create free websites for their business. So these are great opportunities for small and medium enterprises to really scale up and reach out to bigger markets.
So I think the screen is flashing now. We need to stop. So I would just open the floor for questions, and we can start with you. And second, we'll come to you.
Understand the dynamics of how the search engine, works primarily, right? So it's always difficult to figure things out, and how do you get onto page one, etc., etc. You go to an SEO expert, he charges you a bomb. You don't know. They all promise you the first page. It doesn't happen, right? So it's a very difficult situation for startups to understand how does this really work. So what if you could highlight in some small way as to how does one go about it? Two is also it's quite difficult to understand how much do you bid and how do you bid, and it's a little bit too complicated for people, starting up to figure things out, right? So if you could just give some inputs on that front.
Sure. So as far as, so I'm not going to comment on SEO. As a policy, we do not comment on SEO. What I can comment about is SEM, right? And while SEO, if you actually go onto the Google Webmasters tool, you'll actually get some best practices on SEO, which you can look at adopting. As far as page ranking on SEM is concerned, I think very broadly, without making it very technical, I'm just going to spend half a minute on how to actually make your ads more relevant. What really drives performance of ads are two things like I mentioned earlier, your bid and your quality score. Now, while your bid may not be very high, your quality score can actually be quite high based on 2-3 things. Number one, how relevant is the text that you're using within your ad to a user's query? So ad text relevance is very, very important. Number two, landing page quality. When people come onto your website, if they click on your ad and come to your website, what is the kind of experience they're having? How quickly does your website load if somebody comes onto your website? That has a critical input into the quality score, right? So these are very, very important things which you can do upfront to ensure that your quality score is high, even though your overall budgets may not be very, very high, right? Those are some best practices which I would recommend. There is a detailed sort of help center. If you actually go onto the AdWords help center, just search for it and you'll get it. There are lots and lots of tips out there, all free tips. As far as choosing bids and choosing keywords is concerned, again, there are tools. There is a freely available tool called the Keyword Tool, which I'm sure most of you, many of you would have worked with. The Keyword Tool gives you a lot of information about volume, keyword volume. So if I want to know how many searches for shoes is happening in Bombay or in India, I can actually get that through the keyword tool, right? So those kind of free tools are available for you to figure out to guide your decisions when you start bidding, along with a suggested bid as well. So if you don't have enough information about the account upfront when you're starting out, you could rely on some of these automated tools to guide your decisions. But fundamentally, I would recommend that it has to be very, very tightly managed.
Sure, but one is it's not so clearly mentioned some of the help things, so it's difficult to figure things out. Second is what I've noticed vis-a-vis the Facebook, right? When I want to advertise and focus only on the Bombay market, I'm able to do that. Whereas in Google, it goes all India.
No.
I don't know. That's what we've tried, and we didn't have an option. We couldn't find the option.
You can target
for Bombay.
166 cities in India.
But you do IP targeting. Facebook, you actually user says I'm in Bombay.
Yeah.
You can target based on user defining his city.
Absolutely.
Right.
In Google, you do it on IP.
Yeah.
So it's not as accurate as Facebook, but 85-90% there.
Yeah. Yeah, he's absolutely right. So you can go down to the city level. You can target any city that you want, practically.
Also, in terms of SEO, I think one extremely important thing is that a lot of websites, when they're made, and a lot of people think that SEO is extremely technical, and only the developers and the coders would know how to do that. I think the single most important thing over here, as a website owner and as somebody who knows what kind of customers you want, is first of all, forget everything else. Just see on what keywords would you like your website to be found, right? So what is it that somebody sitting anywhere in India or anywhere, if they search for what should your website be found, right? And this is something that as the owner of the website or as somebody who's marketing the website should come intrinsically to you, right? And just give those kind of inputs to whichever your SEO agency is or whomsoever is taking care of your SEO. And if they are technically sound, they will be able to do something. But I should also tell you that it's not something which reaps overnight results. It is definitely, it takes a very, very long time, depending on industry, depending on sector, depending on how many players and how many links have been there for how long. It is something that will actually, it can take easily up to 3 months for the first link to come up on some of the keywords.
Sure. Just one quick input.
We can do that. Yeah. We can do this after the yeah.
This may be of help to everybody. That's the reason why I feel don't mind. Just one quick one. We deal in consumer electronics, so we do mobile phones, right? So there is a Samsung, let's say Galaxy Note 2. There are going to be 1,000 people bidding for that, etc. So how, and even within my keywords, that's what I'm going to be using. So how do you use that towards, for the Google Ads as well as the SEO?
So I can tell you it's one of the most competitive, most cluttered categories, right? So first of all, pray a little bit. Secondly, all I can say is that do not look for very big results very quickly. Look for extremely unique kind of search phrases, right? And you can do that. And Google even tells you what are some of the unique. And he himself said that every day there are 10% new searches being added, right? So look for extremely unique ones look for the ones like it's being called long tail or whatever, where there are not that many advertisers. Look for those and start advertising on that, right? And if everything else is fine, your website, your quality score and all that, and slowly and gradually it will start to happen. It will take time.
Okay. Page of Google organically, if you're already ranking on the first page organically, but your competition has an SEM ad, you recommend still putting up an ad even though you're just already on the first page?
Would you like to answer that? No, I will definitely answer
Google
that
shouldn't
question.
answer that.
Yeah, I think you should listen. Yeah. I think you should say if they ask you to put your ad or not, but I'll definitely answer that.
Okay, so I'll have a go at it. So valid point, and this is a very, very common question, right? So Google view on this is that SEO and SEM need to work together, and this is why. Your SEO rankings will be high based on certain queries, certain keywords, certain tags, certain meta tags, not for all, right? If you have a large website with thousands and thousands of products, thousands of SKUs, etc., it will be very, very difficult for you to actually come up front on page one for each and every query which is related to your products and services. So therefore, SEM can add value, right? So because you are targeting specific keywords or something new that you're launching on the website, which again will not feature you in the top rankings maybe on SEO, but then again SEM is an opportunity. Also related is the fact that you have competition sometimes who will bid, right, and who will actually take that space above you or next to you. So again, it may be a good idea, at least for certain categories, to actually own that space completely, right? So, so our view is really that both work well together, because it's not possible for you to be up there in SEO for each and every kind of query and kind of sort of keyword.
Plus, you can also drive better messaging when you do SEM. So you can say what really call to action is. So more in terms of why you're doing a campaign, you always need to know what my call to action is. It's harder to drive a call to action in SEO, but you can really drive a call to action in SEM. So that's what you should really look to supplement SEM with SEO, by driving that very specific call to action. Thank you.
So I'll just give you a little bit of a branding kind of a perspective on this over here. If the brand name of your website is a unique word, you know, like a Hoopos, for example, or some such word which is not a generic English word, and if somebody searches for that, right, which means somebody is already aware of your website and is searching for that, right, and they still don't come to the URL directly. They will go to Google and type it over there, or in any search bar. In that case, if there is an ad that you've placed on top of your own first listing, and I'm assuming that it will be a first listing and nobody else has hijacked your brand name, people will have a very high tendency of actually clicking on your paid ad versus your organic listing, right? So if you do have the advantage of having a very unique English name as your brand name, then maybe you can keep away from those categories, and I would say maybe there is no need to advertise over there, because invariably you will see 80% of the cases people will click on the paid link because it comes right on top, even on top of your organic link. On a lot of other cases, whatever these two gentlemen said holds true, that you cannot optimize for every single keyword.
Guys, thanks to be a wonderful audience. Thanks a lot, panel. I think it was very knowledgeable sharing your insights about search engine marketing. One final question to you. How many people actually click on I feel lucky on Google, just out of curiosity? Percentage wise. So any coupons for the audience here to be wonderful audience? Any Google coupon for SEM to try that out? No?
Okay, a big thank you to our panelists and our moderator, please.